This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Hay with all that film.
And if we ever wind up live streaming any of these podcasts in the future, like, you guys are going to see all the in-between scene stuff, and it's going to be just open season for you guys to be like, you guys, whoa! But why don't you tell everybody about your channel?
So I host a film channel. We have a bunch of different people in opinions that come through. We basically tackle pretty much anything, whether it's like indie films, big blockbusters, all that stuff. So even if, not that many people are seeing it that weekend, we still cover it. Some of those end up being good. It's a lot of stuff that's on here. So there's probably some for you if you like anime, TV shows, pretty much every movie, or just some hilarity. It's sprinkled throughout there. If anybody wants to reach me on there, I can give you like a video to start with. I normally point people towards like our video essays or Foreign Film Fridays, because people tend to like those.
Obviously, people liked your comedian review of this Bert guy, which I've seen all over YouTube, by the way. This guy's pretty hilarious and out there.
So the thing that I guess I'll throw out, because you mentioned that the comedian reviews are weird, because I started with like Pete Davidson's comedy special, because I was like, oh, well, I guess this is kind of a movie or whatever. That one didn't do that well, and I think, it was Mark Maron right after that I was like, oh, wait, people are watching this and no one is reviewing this. And then my ultimate downfall, Chris D'Elia, I know the name now because I say it wrong in my review. He had a special that everyone like universally hated. And that's like one of my it's not my most disliked video, because I know what that one is. But that one's up there because people are like, this special sucks, like you don't know what comedy is. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I was going through finals and I was like, hey, this was all right.
Now I want to watch it.
Yeah.
Go watch the Tiger King tier list.
Oh yeah, that one I'm kind of upset with because we don't have visuals. But I fixed that now, so if we do a tier list or anything, it's for sure gonna have visuals. But yeah, Tiger King was super fun talking about.
Will's gonna go watch it now.
Yes.
But we're not here to discuss all that film. We are here to promote him, but we're not here to discuss him. So silence. No, I'm just kidding. Go subscribe, youtube.com/ALLTHATFILM, all that film, to go watch all that film reviews, top 10s, critiques, and more. And a podcast. There's a podcast somewhere.
For sure, it's everywhere now because we're partnered with Anchor.
Wow, partnered, huh?
No, not partnered. We're just on Anchor.
I'm just kidding.
My bad. Don't want to throw the P word around.
All right, so we're here to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I'm gonna pull this up. This is his video on Avatar, which did not get copyright strike, so we're not gonna get copyright strike for putting on.
We're free now.
We're free. So we're gonna talk about Avatar. So I'm gonna give you guys a little synopsis here. Avatar: The Last Airbender is an American animated television series created by Michael Dante DiMartino. I hope I said that right. Brian, I'm not even gonna pronounce his last name, and Aaron, not gonna pronounce that one either. I'm assuming it's like EHAS or something like that, but whatever.
I think good enough.
Okay. It aired on Nickelodeon for 3 seasons from February 2005 to July 2008. Unfortunately, it did not continue on after that, unless you include the Legend of Korra that I'm not going to talk about. Avatar is set in I'm just going to say Asia. It's basically Asia, okay? In which some people can manipulate the classical elements with psychokinetic variants of the Chinese martial arts known as bending. One individual, the Avatar, is capable of bending all 4 elements and is responsible for maintaining harmony between the world's 4 nations. It is presented in a style that combines anime, which everybody loves anime. I'm sorry. With American cartoons, it relies on the imagery of East, South Asian, Inuit, and New World societies. The series is centered around the journey of a 12-year-old, Aang, who is actually 112 years old, thank you very much, and the last survivor of his nation, the Air Nomads, along with his friends, Sokka, Katara, and later on... My brain's not working.
Toph?
Toph! I was going to say Toph.
Of course.
I know that's wrong.
Toph.
I was like, I literally was going to go, Toph. Nope. It's like, how in the heck is my brain saying Toph? And I was like, I'm going to let him jump in, and I'm going to look stupid. Oh well, that's fine. As they strive to end the Fire Nation's war against the other nations of the world, it also follows the story of Zuko. And Zuko is probably my favorite character other than his uncle on the show.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
The exiled prince of the Fire Nation seeking to restore his lost honor by capturing Aang, the 112-year-old Avatar, accompanied by his wise uncle, and later of his ambitious sister. So, what I want to talk about, what are our opinions on Avatar? And we'll start with Wow. Hey. Start with hey. Brain not working.
Yeah. Avatar is one of my favorite shows all time. It was super interesting revisiting it. I actually did it 2 years ago. I know it's on Netflix now. So, anytime something comes back on Netflix, whether it be Friends, Avatar, The Office, inevitably when it switches, it always gets like a spike in popularity again because people are watching it again. But yeah, it just has stuck with me for so long. I rewatched it, and it's one of those like Lion King where you watch it when you're a kid, and it's like, yeah, lions talk and sing. I like this because I'm 5. And then you sort of watch it again, and you notice like a lot of the subtleties that are in a show like this that I feel like you don't realize you're learning as a kid watching Avatar. But it's one of those that I don't want to throw this term because I know like shows like Arthur or Cyber Chase, or I can't think of any off the top of my head, but like educational TVs. In a lot of ways, Avatar is an educational TV show. It's just does such a good job of storytelling and everything else. People don't tend to notice that. But yeah, that's some of like my favorite stuff. I don't know, because you guys are a little bit older than me. I'm sure you guys still saw Avatar when it was on, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
Oh yeah. I have a younger brother and nephews that were that aren't that much younger than me actually. So we all watched it together, ranging in ages from like what year did this come out again? 2005. So I would have been like 13 when this came out. My brother would have been like 11, 12, and then my nephews would have been early years, like between 5 and 3 and 7 somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, so my youngest nephew would have been like 4. My oldest nephew would have been like 7 or 8 when this came out. So yeah, we were all different ages and we all watched this together, and it was great for all of us to watch. Like some of us would pick up on different things. Everybody picked up on something different. But the thing I really appreciated about the show is it brought a more realistic anime style to America that you just don't see a lot of this type of art style in an anime in 2005.
Yeah, you know what I appreciate about this show?
The hilarity of
it was.
It was really good.
So you don't understand how long I tried to vent water outside. I was growing up right by a stream at this point, and I would spend hours out there doing the moves, like trying to get the water to do something. And every once in a while, it would like bubble because it's a creek, so it would hit a rock or something and splash. I'm like, oh my gosh, I did it!
Kind of like when you learn about the Force, and you're like, I will force push this.
Well, that's nothing. And then when I watched Daredevil for the first time, the terrible movie, I would try to throw pens in the darts into like a dartboard. Anyway.
I will say this. This has one of the best representations of like maintaining friendship and relationships of any show that's put out for kids, in that it actually explores the redemption arc of Zuko. It actually explores how his uncle is more of a father figure to him than his own father. Yep. It does like so many different and interesting things in both familiar relationships, friendships, siblings. It's so different from any other show that I watched as a kid growing up, and I loved it. You could feel every different emotion in this show. The only other show that really explored deep things like that when I was growing up was probably Digimon.
South Park.
Digimon did a lot of stuff right, just like Avatar did, and that could be a whole other episode. But those two shows definitely tackled some pretty serious subjects in a kid-friendly manner.
For sure, yeah. I like that you bring up the Zuko thing. I said in this video in particular, I think Zuko is probably the best developed character in any like TV show medium. I know like that's not necessarily like the hottest take, haha, pun intended, firebending. But yeah, I just love the whole idea of you start out with these characters with their sort of motivation, like their destiny that they're given, one from his father, one from the universe essentially. Both of them, one's like, okay, I'm going to capture the Avatar. One's like, I don't want to be the Avatar. And there are like interesting things that it sort of brings up, like you were mentioning, how like, you know, even if the world is telling you, oh, hey, you want to be this right now, I feel like it does a really good job of developing these characters to have them change emotions and change feelings when they eventually like shift their opinions and feelings about their specific destinies.
So I guess the next question we should explore is, would a show like this get greenlit nowadays?
No. No.
Expand upon that.
These guys, okay, so I did a little bit of research on this. These guys are insane in that when they pitched the show to Nickelodeon, they basically, instead of doing like an elevator pitch type thing, they were like, okay, well, there's this uncle, and then there's a firebender, and he's kind of his dad, and then here's what happens in season 2. Then they go to earthbenders, and there's the water tribe, and then there's earthbenders and sandbenders. They explained everything out, and I have no clue how Nickelodeon was like, all right, we'll do a high concept fantasy kids show, and I just feel like this is one of those things that would be like put on Netflix, and there's a couple of shows that I could mention in the same realm that are on Netflix, but I feel like Avatar is just a like lightning in a bottle thing. Same with, I mean, Breaking Bad probably could get made at any point, but that's one of those shows like it just happened, and you have to wonder like how did we get a show this good? But yeah, I think Korra specifically is telling to how Nickelodeon like didn't really care about a kids show that wasn't selling toys. And that's the case with Cartoon Network as well. Both those shows, if you're not selling toys, which Avatar notoriously didn't really sell toys because no one was like, I want a Zuko doll so he can scream about honor. So, you know, I think shows now sort of have that thing where they're thinking like Teen Titans Go is one of the biggest shows because it's funny, it's actually meant just for kids, and you can sell toys of it. So unfortunately, I feel like we're not going to get as many Avatars, where this should have set like a precedent for more of these.
Yeah.
Well, like I always liken the fact that Avatar made it to like Samurai Jack. Like I can't imagine trying to pitch that show.
Or even Courage nowadays.
Courage the Cowardly Dog. But you could sell Courage toys. They would just be really weird.
Yeah,
they would be.
I will say, Courage. Just real quick point. Courage, the pilot episode of Courage. I think it was the pilot. It was the first one I saw, anyways. Gave me nightmares for months after I watched it.
I did not watch Courage because I think they played it on like a preview. There was like this wiggly ghost thing or whatever, and I was like, nope, never watching this ever.
That's exactly what freaked me out.
Yep.
And I still watched a few more episodes of Courage. I
what
realized
freaks me out about that show is the fact the dog has a hole in his tooth.
You're not wrong.
I was like, it makes my tooth hurt, and I don't like watching it.
Eustace! Anyways, Avatar, on the other hand, is extremely kid-friendly for being as deep as it is. And although it tackles things like anger, like, you know, a dad being relatively abusive to his child, it does it in a way that's more artistic and not so showy about it. Where, like, an adult show would be more showy, show and tell about it. Being able to just to kind of hide the abuse behind something like fire or water, it helps to show the same thing without showing the same thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a mental than a physical showing, even though it shows it. And I'm trying to say it in a way that makes sense, and I don't think I'm succeeding.
No. I get what you're saying. Like, it doesn't really. It's not. There's not a whole episode that's like, I'm an abusive father and I beat up Zuko. There's just one moment where you don't even see him actually get that scar on his face, but you know what happened. It stresses the important. Exactly. And the other thing I was going to throw out just real quick, because you mentioned there hadn't been really like an anime infused cartoon here, at least in the West. I mean, there's things like Cowboy Bebop and Trigun that at least bridged some stuff. But I think if Avatar wasn't here or didn't come out, we wouldn't have like a lot of shows that are sort of like anime like inspired, if that makes sense. Because I feel like that was the gateway for like a lot of creators and a lot of studios to sort of know like, oh wait, anime is a thing.
Yeah.
Well, because there was like Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, definitely. But I feel like Dragon Ball Z was still like even at the height of Dragon Ball Z in the U.S., it was still like a niche.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And it's expanded way more now.
Like for example, though, like Dragon Ball Z, like that was a boys' show.
Yes.
A lot of young boys watched it. My wife watched this show. Like Avatar was more appealing to everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it had a much wider appeal than what people were expecting. And Nickelodeon got very lucky that they released this show because I think it kept people watching Nickelodeon as opposed to Cartoon Network or, Kids WB or, any of those other shows.
I think Nickelodeon would have struggled a whole lot if they didn't have this because I don't think they have. I mean, I'd have to look back through their backlog, but they didn't have, like a main show. Sorry, I'm laughing at the minion butt that's on the screen. But yeah, they didn't have like I think Cartoon Network at the time had like Foster's Home, Teen Titans. Trying to think of a couple of the other ones.
Did they have Jimmy Neutron or is that a different show?
No, Jimmy Neutron was on Nick.
Okay.
But I feel like Avatar was like them being like, oh, see, we have a serious show that is still meant for kids. So you're right. They're super lucky that this came around.
It's just so good. Like I can't like as an adult, I can watch this show and appreciate it for what it is.
Oh, for sure. And what's weird is this actually comes from. I think one day I want to do it, but I keep realizing how expansive it'll end up being. Both these creators worked on Family Guy. I think one of them worked on King of the Hill, and I wanted to do like a family tree style thing of like, here's all the people that worked on The Simpsons, but The Simpsons specifically, so many people went on to do so many other things after that. But it's just interesting because like, I don't know. I mean, they were like directors and animators on Family Guy and King of the Hill, but you wouldn't think like guys working on that if someone had pitched to you like, yeah, I want to make a fantasy like kind of Asian inspired aesthetic to it, you'd be like, maybe stick to Family Guy.
So since we're going to be talking about the remake later, we're not going to talk about it on this episode. Why do you think that this show is a show that people go back to even now instead of watching newer shows that are coming out today?
Because it has classic universal themes. You have the, rejecting your destiny, you have a redemption arc, and you have family ties. Like, this is something that joins together, like, all of humanity, and everyone can kind of relate to those concepts. But I think the fact that they did it so well, people are continuously going to go back to that show versus, like, instead of a show that's, like, trying to hit whatever trend is happening at the time, it's not going to be appealing past, like, 5 years. This show is, going to be appealing many years from now.
I promise my reaction was not to you, Will. It was to the weird art I had up on the screen.
Just to expand on Will's point a little bit, I feel like a lot of it, too, because, yeah, you get so many people that see the hero's journey the first time through Avatar, and you're right, it's going to stick with them over and over. On top of that, the choice for 2D animation, they don't really do CGI. They have there's like a wind lock that they open that's CGI animation. And like, I think the Fire Nation, one of their vehicles is also CGI, but most of it still holds up like visually. Whereas if you go to a show like Jimmy Neutron, in particular, like I've gone back to that. I still have like nostalgia for Jimmy Neutron. But in terms of holding up animation-wise, CGI was not where it is now in 2005. Like, there were some nasty-looking things that they did as mainline shows.
Like, to be honest, the art style that they chose is... I think they used some cell shading in this show. Kind of like how the Wind Waker still holds up. Because they use that, it's scalable, right? That's why Wind Waker HD was able to happen with minimal edits to The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker on the GameCube. And cell shading is a beautiful thing to use because I think people are figuring this out nowadays because of its scalability. Like Samurai Jack easily translated to Blu-ray HD 4K because it was cell shaded. It's like the equivalent of using vectors for graphics. Vectors have no like limit to their resolution, right? Cell shading has no limit to its resolution. I believe they use something similar to cell shading in Avatar, which is why it scales so well.
Yeah, in just going on top, I actually ended up buying the Blu-ray for this when it came out. I don't know how many people coughed up the money because I felt a little. I mean, I'm a movie collector anyway, so it's not a big deal. But I know, like, as soon as it was like Netflix is gonna have it back, I was like, what? But I was gonna mention, the early days of Netflix, Avatar was on there, so I feel like that helps a little bit of the longevity as well. And like with it coming back onto Netflix, like I've seen Avatar memes like recirculate, a bunch of fans, a bunch of people specifically that like are heavily like against anime. They're like, I'd never watch one of those cartoons. That have been like, I guess I'll check out Avatar. People are talking about it, whatever.
Like, I mean, I know tons of people that watch Attack on Titan that would not have ever considered...
Haven't watched anime at all. Yep, that happened at my high school. I was so confused when people are like, oh, you watch anime, Attack on Titan, right? And I'm like, what the heck? Who are you? Because I had like specific anime like friends that I would talk to about that stuff.
Like, for some reason, some of these shows just gain wide appeal. But Avatar is so easily explainable as to why it has the wide appeal it has. And it's because it has that kind of easy to understand but deep themes. It's so easy to recommend to your friends, right? And word of mouth for this show, every time it comes back to Netflix, ooh, should I watch Avatar? Yes. The answer is yes. The only answer is yes. Go watch it.
Yeah, and just one last thing that I feel like helps it a little bit. Because the live action movie is so terrible and regarded as like one of the worst movies of all time, I feel like that's free publicity for the show. Just a reminder like how good the show is when you look on the worst rated things on IMDb and it's like in the top 10 and people see that and they're like, oh well, I shouldn't watch this, but maybe I'll check out the show.
Yeah, that's fair. Negative connotation against something that's associated with the show, but not the show.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will say this. I was more disappointed walking out of the Avatar Last Airbender live action film than I was at just about anything else in my life. Like, that was one of the most disappointing experiences.
I will one up that when I walked out of The Last Jedi.
I disagree. I actually think Last Airbender is far worse. Like, at least there are a few things that are redeeming about The Last Jedi. I can't tell you anything that's redeeming about The Last Airbender.
Y'all should do a Last Jedi Friday episode one of these days.
What is it, the worst Star Wars film?
No. Yeah, like an argument, like y'all have been doing.
That's a good idea.
I would listen to that. Yeah.
We gotta have a good judge for that, because
for sure.
If you have somebody that really enjoyed it or really hated it, it automatically
they're gonna be impartial. Yeah.
Like, it's just not good. So the last thing I want to say: who's your favorite character on the show?
I'll go first. Mine's Uncle Iroh. I mean
It's good.
The usual answer is Zuko, and I do completely understand that. I especially understand because he started sort of ugly. So for the ladies in particular, long hair Zuko was one of the best things in people's childhood. But I just feel like Uncle Iroh, the more I think about it, he's just a really complex character. And I feel like it's sort of understated sometimes. Like, this is a dude that basically all of his life he was told, like, hey, these people are bad, we're going to conquer them. And for the most part, like, I haven't read too much into the lore, but for the most part, it's shown like he was all for that. He was going to be the heir to the throne. And I just feel like he just does a complete turnaround, and that's so interesting to me.
Well, he lost both of his, like, no spoiler alert, he lost his kids in the war, right?
Yep.
And
he lost his son.
Yeah, it's just one, right? I couldn't remember if it was multiple for some reason. It's been a little while since I've last watched the show.
Oh no, you're good.
Yeah.
He just had like such a big arc to his character, presented in flashbacks, and I think he mirrors Zuko in his hatred for all the other nations, and then his turnaround. And he wanted to help Zuko get there, and I respect him being your favorite character on the show. What about you, Will?
Yep. You know what? So I've thought about this a while. It's really hard, and I don't want to just say Zuko because, like, he was saying that's like everyone's favorite character. However, bending fire is freaking awesome. And I realized like he also has like a pretty complex character arc. But let's just be real. I'm gonna like a character the most off their powers.
Fire is the coolest by far.
Fire is super cool. But the thing is, like, Aang can do all of them. So, like, no, I'll go with Zuko. He's still super cool. His scar is cool. Like, the whole Fire Nation is cool. So, yeah, I'll go with him. And also because of character arc. We talked about that earlier in the
yeah, we talked about that. I really like Toph. I think she is, like, just by far the most entertaining character on the show. Like, she's got this cocky attitude. I know what I'm doing, But, like, she's humorous, and, like, she gets humbled so many times on the show that, like, it reminds me of myself and my ego and how I get humbled all the time, like, with just random things. And the fact that she's, she feels the earth, she doesn't see the earth. It's like, wow, that's really cool. Mm-hmm. And just, go ahead.
Yeah, just on top of that, it was crazy to me that they added a character, like a main character in season 2. I just had never seen that for the most part, because like it was usually like, hey, there's 6 people and those are the 6 people that you're going to care about in this show.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, yeah. And I think it's telling that the show was able to do that. Like, the writing was just that good. The character never felt out of place. Not once. I felt like Toph came in and just naturally, this person's part of the show. And like when I go back and watch season 1, it's like, oh yeah, she's not there
Toph's
yet.
Not here. Yeah.
It was so natural to have her written into the show. I thought she was one of the best characters ever added to a show later on. So yeah, I picked Toph. Toph wins for me. Do you guys have anything else you want to say about Avatar: The Last Airbender?
If for whatever reason you're watching this and got to this part and still haven't watched Avatar,
yeah,
do yourself
That's
a favor.
Good point. And I'm gonna link in the top comment pinned to this video a link to the AllThatFilm Avatar video. So if you get through this video, go watch his video.
Yeah, it's fun. There's a lot of great Avatar videos, and that's one of those that I can watch like everybody's. But yeah, check out mine first.
If you're watching this one already, you've already watched ours first, but go watch his immediately following this video.
Yes.
Give us the watch time first, then give him the watch time too. It's like double duty. Double duty.
Yes.
Watch this video, get like 1 view, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go watch all that film. No, I'm just kidding. You guys are a video game channel. Why are you covering Avatar? Oh, there's a bunch of Avatar video games too, by the way. Go check those out. They're okay. What was that one we wanted to mention? Dreams?
Oh, just the Dreams one. That's the thing I was going to mention real quick. I know a lot of people want a really good Avatar game. There's not one that's that popular. So this Dreams game is sort of like popping off on the Dreams like engine popularity, just because people want that. So if this can be like, even if it's kind of buggy, and still like plays decently, I still feel like people like you were saying, Will. When I was a kid, I was like, I want to bend water, like, I want to shoot fire out of my hands. So people will definitely want to play that.
This might be like the biggest missed opportunity for Nickelodeon at the time.
Yep.
Was not making a really good Avatar video game. Although, to be fair, it probably would have been really hard to develop something as good as this back then. So
Nickelodeon didn't really handle Avatar as well as they should have.
Where's the action figures? Anyways, as always, I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Hay with AllThatFilm.
And we will see you
on next CHRILLCAST. Bye, guys.